Yo, welcome back to the Combat Divas podcast. This your girl TG.
And your girl Tonnisha B.
And we are back for another episode. I feel like we've been gone for a minute, but we back with us. We got a treat today. Ooh, dun, dun, dun. A treat. Tonnisha B, what's going on? How you been?
I've been making it. I've been making it. I've been working from home for the last several months when I thought it was temporary, and it's becoming a thing. So I just been, clocking in, clocking out, and just trying to, Charlie Mike through life.
Charlie Mike, I like that. Speaking of Charlie Mike, we got a book coming out.
Yeah.
Yes, and today we have a special treat. We have with us today our publisher of Unfeathered Ink, Melody Norton. She's here with us today. I'm going to let her tell a little bit about herself before we throw her into the Combat Diva pit.
And we put me under the bus before the pit.
Yep.
Back up a little bit. Then you fall into the pit.
Right. Melody, it's good to have you with us today.
It's cool to be here, yo.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Melody Norton, founder and CEO of Unfeathered Ink. We provide coaching, writing, and publishing services, and we are a brand new small press with y'all's title and mine being the first two, and they'll be out this winter.
Woo. I am so excited to say that.
I know, I'm so excited.
I've been out there this winter. That sounds amazing. It's funny because we met on Instagram, really. This is how you know how powerful social media is, right? A whole book stemmed from an Instagram post. Mm-hmm. I saw an Instagram post of just her pretty much saying that she did writing, like ghost writing and stuff like that. Went on the website and saw it, and I was like, oh man, I wonder if she could help get the book out, because me and Tonnisha had been talking about the book. And called her up, and she was just like, hey, what's up? Like we had known each other all our lives. So I was like, oh, this will work, actually. This is a good relationship. And hey, she hooked us up the next month. We started
a good tribute
writing.
To the veteran sisterhood, right? Like,
that is
we've
true.
Been following each other for like a year, so we know each other. Like, we're good.
Yeah. That came up. She was like, hey, I'm a Marine vet. You know how I feel about Marines. I have this special heart. So
now I'm not sure.
Like right away, I was like, I'm like, clearly, like TG met her from like one of our units or passing through, and then she was like, no, I'm a former Marine. I was like, oh, Marine.
Yeah. It made sense to do. Yeah, it was like the universe saying, this is the one. Like, that's what I felt.
Yeah.
When I was on the phone. So we appreciate you helping us with the project. It has been, it hasn't been like terrible, and I appreciate that because I owe that to you. But it has been certainly a journey, to say the least.
Yeah, that's the word I would use.
To get words from like that's floating around your head onto some kind of paper and out for it to be understood is a project. I don't see how you do it all the time.
I think it ends up being a lot more emotional than people realize it's going to be to dive into a project like this, and to go from beginning to end. Like,
sure,
in a lot of situations when people approach someone about ghostwriting or publishing, like they pretty much already have everything together. But when we came together, it was like it was all brand new.
Yeah.
It was a concept, and so it was a lot of digging deep for you guys. I'm so proud.
The whole thing with me is like, I got so much. Where do I start? What do I start? What do I start? What do I say? Yeah. How do I say it? Damn, can I say this? Can I not say this? And it was just a lot. So I feel like I'll be much better when I'll know what to expect when we get around to making our second book. Because this
first plug.
Yeah. Doing a lot of creating systems and all of that.
It's like homework. I was like, shit, man.
You got homework.
Like, I
hate physical homework, emotional homework, all of it. Digging deep homework.
Needed drinks after explaining certain parts. She was like, I need a drink.
I always promote that to get in the writing flow, you do whatever serves you. if it's a couple drinks, if you need, whatever you need to do.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
Keep it legal. Keep
I
it
drank
legal
from
and keep it within reason. 'Cause, you want your thoughts to make sense in the morning when you wake up and reread them.
What did I just say?
True.
Shit, I got to delete all of this.
I didn't even remember
You
it
want to
next
have
day.
to edit and not decipher,
Yeah, that's true. Don't make it that hard for you. But we appreciate you working with the project. Can you tell us a little bit of, I don't know, how you felt with us working with it? Like at some point where you're like skeptical, like, shit, I don't know.
You know what? It's been 100% fantastic the whole time. Like every time look at you. So, I originally didn't plan to grow the press portion of Unfeathered Ink for another year or two. And so when you hit me up and it came up, originally when Tiffany hit me up, it was just for ghostwriting. And I was like, just fun fact, I'm toying with being a press. And she was like, well, all right, let's just figure it out together. And I was like, serious? Like, really? For someone to put that kind of trust and faith in you, it's overwhelming. But it's totally been overwhelming in a good way. And it's really led me into, I guess, exponentially growing the company way faster than I intended. We actually just today, I enrolled in a course academy so that we can take the systems that we've grown together and I can fine tune them and make them an open enrollment course for people to have guided.
Nice.
Guided, to have the coaching and stuff like that. And to have the guidance. And what we'll do is we'll also do weekly live calls that people can jump in and ask any questions or get motivation and stuff like that. So
very cool.
When I say you guys have helped me grow, it's definitely a two-way street.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't think I realized that.
She's like, I'm not going to grow for like at least another year. You was like, no, well, how about now?
That is something that I would do. I'm sorry. Just randomly to
and
people.
Now we're already brainstorming book 2 and 3, right? We're all
right. We're already on book 2.
Book 2, second series,
It's a big deal for Tonnisha to say book 2 because book 1, she was like every day, like, okay, all right. It was like talking to a 3-year-old every day. Okay, all right. That was Tonnisha.
But you know what?
Night.
I coach a good game, but when it comes to my own writing, I'm a lot like Tonnisha. I'm like, I sit down for 5 minutes and I'm like, I deserve a snack. Like
I deserve it.
I'm like, no, you need to do some work. Like you need to put some pen on paper.
I'll be like, nah, I mean, right after this, no, I'll have time. Yeah. I'm like, right after this, I'll have time. And then it get to the point, I'll be like, like, I'll do it in the morning.
You're like, that's so crazy. It's midnight already?
Right.
And then I start to write and I'll be like, all right, let me just close the laptop and yeah. So it was a struggle. I'm not even gonna lie. It was a struggle. It was like school and I'm like, shit, I already finished school. And it's like, the horror. But then it's like, no, like you want to be out there, you want to have your name out there, you want to grow the podcast, you want to just grow, period. So it's like you have to do this if you want your goals to be achieved. So you just gotta do it.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yep. I just I guess the hardest part for me in writing was, I don't know, I guess kind of reliving all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because the stories we tell are so personal, and most of them come from, the military standpoint, because it's survival guide, right? So we kind of come from the military standpoint a lot, but a lot of it just transitions to just everyday life. If you take out the military jargon, it's literally just life. It's just stuff we go through every day and trauma we've experienced and how we've combated that trauma, how we continue to combat that trauma. It's not over. And just reliving some of that stuff, like it was pretty hard. One chapter in particular was like me spilling my guts, and then I was like, I don't know if I can go back to this dark place.
You want to share which one it was? Do you?
Broken but Not Forgotten was.
Yeah.
And it's probably my favorite chapter. So when you do read it, it's amazing. Yeah. That chapter.
It's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, it bears our soul. So if you didn't know us as people, like I think that chapter captured a lot of we were candid. It captured a lot of who we are.
I feel like it's one of those things that chapter is one of those things that you read, and it's one of those things you read on purpose on a bad day because you're like, okay, I got through all this shit and everything else today is not this bad. Like, it's kind of that it rebuilds your faith in yourself kind of thing. And I think that's going to be important for a lot of readers to find something that they connect to that way.
Yeah, I love that.
It's something we're all just kind of looking for, right?
She's amazing. This is why we picked Melody.
Yeah.
I should just put that all together. And I was thinking it and I couldn't say it. I just couldn't figure it out.
See, and that's
the name of the game, right?
The coach to bring it up out of you.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I need a coach.
I'm serious when I say I'm nothing without my intuition.
I see your potential. I'm just gonna pull it out, show you what it is. There we go, and that's you. We do a lot of that with you, right, Tonnisha? Yeah,
pull it out.
Pull it out.
Because I was like, no, I don't have anything, and then you're like, flip it around, and then be like, no, so you're thinking too much on this, but just break it down to here and just talk about this part, and I'll be like, yeah. I can do that. I'll do it. And I'll be like, I can't wait to take all those like tools and tricks that worked on you and turn them into part of the system for the open enrollment course. Oh, that's going to be,
it definitely worked. It works. Like, really. And anybody who's working Tonnisha know it's hard to, once she turns off, it's hard to turn that switch back on and pull things out of her. She's like, I just don't know. I'm working on that because sometimes it gets to the point like, I don't fucking care. I mean, it's a cool personality type. It's okay.
I just be like, I don't care. And
it's okay.
Yeah.
But you know, the truth is you care so much, you need to be able to turn it off when you need to. You know, you got to be able to self-regulate.
That is so true.
Because the truth is you care so much, and people are definitely going to see that when they read your parts of the book, for sure.
How hard is it, Melody, to have two different voices like me and Tonnisha's? Because I think it just came out a little bit here, and I wanted to touch on that. Because my voice
it kind of sounds like the inside of my head on a regular basis. So there's just a lot going on in there. So, and you know what's funny is that I read a lot of Sherlock books and Sherlock spinoffs, and a lot of them are written from the two-person perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting because it's not a novel, you know. You guys, we've talked about what the book is genre-wise, and it's really kind of a beast of its own making. It's, you know, part memoir, part guidebooks, part survival guide, and it also bridges this cultural gap between your experiences as women veterans and the rest of the world and women who either have or haven't served. It's just the ways that we can connect with people. And I think I got a little off topic, but
it happens more than you know. No, we were more so just with the different voice. Like, Tonnisha is more like we kind of yeah.
So it's cool. Right now I'm kind of toying with it because so that everybody knows we're in the revision phase. And so the girls have turned over all their chapters to me, and we're revising and finding the flow. And so during that process, it's sorting out, you know, Tonnisha's voice and Tiffany's voice. But the way you guys have already organized it, it flows, like it just rolls into each other. It's like this cascade of drama and dark humor, and it's just it's a beautiful beast. And so I'm trying not too much not to mess with that, because it works. What I'd like to do is rather, and this is something, you know, that we were going to be talking about in our next meeting, but I'm toying with the ideas of either using design features to just put we can shadow your names in the back and stuff like that. But you guys, I think the fact that you guys have served together, you guys are the closest of friends, you guys live close to each other, you know, you guys have deployed together. That connection, it really reflects in your guys' writing. Even though you did them separately, the way that they were connected was just, you guys are magic.
That's awesome. And I think that was one of our biggest kind of worry. Well, maybe me, I'm the worrier. The biggest worry was like, how can I get the voices to makes sense that we're actually on topic, you know, because
Yeah.
once we get started, it's easy to drift, and we just need to
You know
help
what?
to stay there.
And reading your guys' writing is a lot like just listening to your podcast. Like you guys, it's just a really good balance. You guys have a good yin yang system going, you know?
Yeah, I'm overboard one way and she's overboard the
Yep.
other way.
I started writing.
I can verify. I'll verify that for sure.
So once I started writing, and I was like, I just started to write exactly how I talk. Like that's just how I talk. The stuff that I
That was
put
one of the
down,
other things we talked about, right?
say.
Not trying to self-edit, just
Yeah.
unapologetically you, and we can worry about the details later.
Yeah, I still self-edited it here and there though, but Tonnisha did a good job.
we
It's just like I got a problem, you know, it's there, so everybody knows it.
Yeah,
I accept it.
Bomb shit, fuck them.
Yeah, you were in it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because after I would read yours, I was
we'll
like,
decide how to edit that part later.
Yeah. I'm the one going up, so if you're reading it, I think it would be easy to see our voices. And Melody called me on this a lot, which I appreciate because not many people call me on my own stuff. But she would call me on it a lot. It was like, hey, you know, you're kind of overly optimistic here. I mean, I need you to come back for a bit and think about the rest of society. I know you're up there, but come figure it out. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't even think about that. I'm sorry. And I had to like really try to think about the whole role because sometimes I can get short-sighted and, you know, I'm just all about, you know, trying to hurry up and move forward, and I forget sometimes the process to move forward. So
I think you know what, it's a good analogy for y'all's dynamic. You're very grounded and definite, whereas Tanisha's very universal love, you know.
I like that.
So you gotta have wings and roots, right?
Right. You gotta have the roots. I can be that. I'm a tree. I like it.
There you go.
I like it.
And you can be any kind of tree you want.
I'm the leaves. I'm just
leaves there.
So the leaves.
I'm just flowing.
Just go in the fall and come back. I got you.
Oh, all right, that's dope. I like that. Like you're the tree with the roots and not the leaves. I fall and come and just.
We'll have to toy with that for the merchandise.
I know, right?
Right there. Is anybody writing this down?
I know. Anybody writing this down?
You
my daughter taught me a word about tree. I should have known. She taught me the word disinsiduous. My daughter did, and I was like, "Wow, what are disinsiduous leaves?" And she was like, "There are the leaves that already fell and they're like kind of dead on the ground." I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that."
Pretty word for something kind of sad, right?
I know. It's like disinsiduous. I'm like, what is that? Like, why do you keep pronouncing it all the syllables? What is it? Like, what does it mean? I don't know what it means. And you're 4, so I don't like it. I like that you're saying something I don't know, and you're clapping. I don't get it. So
and she looking at you as the adult, like
disinsiduous. Like if she gave me syllables, I would get it. Like nope, I still don't know. I still
don't know.
Right.
Like when people speak a foreign language and people think just because they get really, really loud and they break the word down in syllables, they're supposed to understand. Like, no, I still don't get it. Like
that doesn't translate.
Right.
Understand. You like, no.
Still have to have a real rush hour moment, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't know what the word is. I don't know. You tell me. You're frustrated.
Fantastic.
No. I'm sorry. Sometimes we go here. I don't know.
You might want to be a jerk. You want to be a jerk?
You know what? I think all our calls end up here at some point.
You're right. And Melody has, because we should say, Melody lives very far away from us. She lives on the other side of the U.S. versus where we live. So it's fun that a pandemic happened because I don't know if we would have ever discovered, not fun, sorry. But the pandemic happened, and I don't know if we would have discovered this way of working otherwise. You know what I mean? Like, this whole Zoom and like we can work anywhere, kind of remote.
And you know, it's funny because I've been working remotely for a while. When I first started doing it, you know, it was for my health, and I couldn't be working long hours and stuff. But I love working long hours, so I found a way to do that. But it was hard because people were so used to being in the world and knowing knowing the people they work with face to face, and people are already kind of sketchy when they go to work with a freelancer. But the pandemic really made it such a universal necessity that what I did was no longer uncomfortable anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And you know, we go through a lot to make sure you guys are protected and everybody's protected. You know, the insurance. You know, I got IT security like crazy because I'm paranoid, but
we appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a different world, and it's a lot of different opportunities.
It is.
Yeah,
because we'll be doing most of our events will be hybrid. You know, our promotional events will be hybrid.
Most of them. Yeah.
And then when the world opens up, we're gonna have to do like a huge.
Oh yeah,
I
can't wait.
It's gonna be kind of awkward, I feel like, because we was already moving into a digital world, and everybody was doing a lot of things via social media, via Zoom. But it was like Zoom was you just thought of Zoom as like, okay, somebody that's on the other side of the world and you set up meetings, or somebody cross country and you set up meetings. And now you're on a Zoom call with a person that lives like 10 miles from you. Like, this is the thing. And people became heavily dependent upon video calls, how they conduct work meetings, nursing, like doctor visit. The first time I had like a virtual doctor's visit where she just pops up in a lab coat, like, so how are you feeling today?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like, that's weird. Or
I think almost all of my appointments have been virtual since this started.
Yeah.
Therapist, like, well, how are you doing today, Tonnisha? How are you feeling? Like, this is awkward. Sorry.
I still gotta get used to it. Sorry.
We don't even talk. We don't even look at each other. We don't pull up video anymore. We just talk on the phone because it's still like, like his notes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, looking right at your face.
You hear her writing on the other end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was my mom. Sorry. Like, you know.
I know I'm in the car, so there's no dogs or my kids storming in the room. You know.
Right.
So it gets weird.
Things
like,
you got to do for a privacy at home office.
Yeah, we're moving into a new world.
You get really up close and personal with the backgrounds of people's lives, things that you didn't see where you would typically see them at work, or you meet them in an office setting, or you meet up for like a lunch meeting or something like that.
So you appreciate them differently too when you can see into their personal life like that. You know, it's just like, because technically they don't have to share that. They could use a background, they could use a blank wall, but a lot of people go out of, like, I wouldn't, how do you, not necessarily that they go out of their way for a background, but it's a vulnerability to show somebody inside your home, especially with internet connection and cybercrime and the whole thing. You know, like, we're not just connecting, but I'm in my place of residence. Like,
this is my personal space.
Yeah,
it's hard to share that with the entire world. So, Mel?
Oh, sorry, hold on.
Speaking of technology.
Speaking of
which. It's a plug.
I'll
call back.
Speaking of these differences, I know in the book we have a lot of cultural, maybe feminist and racist undertones. Maybe not racist, prejudice undertones in the book as we talk. Along with trauma.
It's my favorite topics.
Those are the undertones in the books. It was important for you to be comfortable with that conversation, and I can appreciate you continuing to kind of pull it out of us, because it's maybe not so much Tonnisha, she was head on, but it took me a while to get that comfortable speaking in about the prejudice undertones and about the feminist undertones that we both, I know you've seen it in the military. For sure I've seen it in the organization. Just it's
hard not to see it.
The quid pro quo, the how we're treated versus how they're treated. Not that we're complaining, and that was big for me too. Like, I don't want to come off as I'm complaining, but it's an issue, and I would like to shed light to it.
Yeah, you have to highlight it, and sometimes it's very uncomfortable. And me, Miss, I'm just gonna say what I want. I'm just gonna point it out, no matter how inappropriate it is. And I'll think about it later. Like, I probably could have approached it a little different.
Like, I probably could have fell back a bit,
Yeah, but I be in it. I be heated, and then it's just like, okay, we still have to be professional. I can't just address it in this way. There's levels, but sometimes that emotion and then that that fire inside. Like, no, I want you to know how I feel right now in this moment, and this shit is wrong. But I stay in a little bit of trouble.
I think the irony is that this year yielded nothing. It was all material, really. I mean, with the social injustices, the systemic racism, the explosion of society at the moment yielded. It was timing was appropriate for this book, and I feel like this book will end up being timeless because of that. Because it's not
it really
just
will.
this happened in the military. This is happening, and this is why it keeps exploding, because we're not talking about it.
It's not just a product of its circumstance; it's a product of its era too, and it's just that message. It's tenfold. You know, it's
absolutely. And I think
the dynamics hit from every single chapter. It's never skipped. It's never overlooked. Every chapter discusses injustice in some way or another. And I think it's significant. It's a lot of things that people leave out of a conversation because it's difficult or it's uncomfortable. And too bad, you know, like.
Yeah. And that, I think that wasn't even the motif we were looking for. It just kind of happened as we were writing.
Yeah.
That's how prevalent it was.
Organic. It wasn't forced. Yeah. It just came out, and then when you put it to paper or you put it on your computer, you just look back like, oh wow, no, I really did something. I really said something that I probably didn't even catch until I read it back and was like, okay. Yeah. So I think that this book is going to show like the soldier side, that we're not a barcode. We're not robots. And the thing is, the stuff that's going on outside in society, there's no special doors that we walk into once we cross into the military side to where all that shit goes away. It's just played out on a different type of stage. It's just different. So.
Absolutely. And I can appreciate that you embrace those undertones. And one of the reasons why we went with you is because you were a cultural writer. Like, you were good at taking the language of one culture and translating it to for everybody to understand. How difficult is that to keep the integrity of a culture together?
I feel like because I come from so many different cultures and I was raised to really embrace all of them, I've always been eclectic. Like, everybody's always looked at me and been like, she's gonna be a crazy old lady, like, or like, you know, the crazy hippie, or I mean, they've come up with all kinds of nicknames for me over the years, my family and friends and stuff. And they all essentially focus on the fact that I'm eclectic by nature. I'm culturally greedy. I love all of it.
Culturally greedy. I like that. Let me write that down.
Write that down.
Different cultures have so much to offer, and I feel like it's so short-sighted not to take the time to learn about them and appreciate them, especially when these people are your neighbors in your community. Like,
yes.
See, and that gives you
feels like there's a huge link missing, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
That gives you the tools to be able to write for and with anybody. So to just be
and it's funny because you know when we're active duty, you know, it's night or it's the weekend and you go out to the bar with your buddies and stuff. But it was funny because I always had groups of friends, like even in high school and in the Marine Corps, like I always had groups of friends. Like, I had friends that I went to the salsa club with. I had my friends that I went line dancing with, you know, like just all different things. I was all over the place. Yeah. And it's just how I grew up. And then being from Jersey, like, you know, it doesn't get much more culturally diverse than the East Coast.
Than Jersey,
in my experience.
Sure. Yeah, that's all.
Jersey.
For sure.
So it was like, even then it was like pockets, you know. But it's just always been a lot of fun, and I like being able to be the bridge. Like, I can't count how many nights, you know, like the guys got too drunk and like one group of friends start arguing with another group, and I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, can we talk about this? Like, what are we really mad about? And it'd be over something stupid, like whose turn it was to pay the tab, and I was like, and y'all had to make that a racial thing. Like, I'm just checking. Like, y'all couldn't just flip a coin or some shit. So
play the tab. Yeah, that's true.
I never fight with nobody about the tab. I was like, oh, you want to pay? Oh, no, go ahead and pay. No, look, take time, go.
It's your turn.
Yeah.
You do it. I'm only gonna protest once. Like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up. Like, no, don't worry about it. No, I'm gonna go ahead and okay.
And you know what? That's it's kind of a weird feeling right now because I've always been the peacekeeper. I've always seen both sides, but these past few years, some people's views are very extremist, and I can't get on board with that. It's hard to stay a peacemaker when people don't want peace.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the whole, bringing the horse to the well thing. Like, you can't force them to drink.
Yeah. Exactly. And at this
And
point,
you can't force people to appreciate other people's cultures and perspectives, but
exactly.
you can hope that with enough information, if you're open-hearted enough and you're honest enough with your intention, that they'll realize, no one's trying to take over, and fascism is bad, but things like that.
Yeah, these are just
problems. You really brought that in, like.
I mean, because if I go too far, I'll start tangenting because it's my topic. But I'm learning to control myself.
All right. When something come up and you're super passionate.
Yep.
And it's like it's like it's gonna come, and it's like one thing is gonna spark another thing and another thing and another thing, and it's just, but it's what you're passionate about, so you be able to articulate it, and then also other people feel that same passion from the energy you bring to it. So I mean,
that's the dream, ain't it?
Man, it definitely is.
People really get it.
I hope they get it one day. Yeah. It's been a long time coming. But I was happy to be able to put those things in a platform to get out to people. Whether they receive it for what it is or not, it doesn't matter.
Do you think it made it easier that because some of the topics you guys cover on the podcast, I mean, you guys get really honest, and for whatever it's worth, anybody that doesn't listen to the podcast, the book and the podcast, that you really get a full picture version of who Tiffany and Tonnisha are. And it's like, I think some of the podcasts I've listened to, when I read stories in the book, I'm like, you know what, that makes sense to each other. And it's one of the reasons why we decided to go with the guidebook version, was so we can do, like fun references to the podcast and episode numbers and things like that. But
that's true. Well, thank you for that. We appreciate that.
I'm glad our flow hasn't changed. I'm glad we still, still like on niche and keep flowing through. So that's a good thing, because sometimes we get worried about that. We be like, man, we have to be particular about how we're coming across, but still being ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part with any entertainment type of business. You're trying to stay within your niche. Well, any business, I guess, within your niche, and make sure that the people, your target audience, is the ones who receive it and understand where you're coming from. Because everybody won't. Who cares? But as long as,
funny because when we did our metadata exercise, we learned a lot that your target audience isn't exactly who you thought they were.
Yeah, sure.
And the things that you wanted your readers to get out of your book isn't what you originally started with. But it was like, once you started peeling all those layers and getting deeper into those chapters and those topics, you're like, wait a second, maybe my original audience is completely irrelevant to what's actually happening here.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
Scary, but it's also very clarifying and reassuring.
Yeah, at least we got a clear picture now, because I did not put that together until afterwards. I mean, a lot of things we don't put together until after we start writing, put it on paper, and then it's like, oh, well, this makes more sense now. So I think I can't wait for the readers to see that too. I'm just excited for the book to come out all together, and I'm excited for Melody's book to come out.
Oh.
Melody also is publishing her own book.
Go ahead.
She's publishing our book and her book. What?
Go ahead, plug your book real quick.
Yeah, tell us about it.
So Athena Underwater is going to be book 1 in a 5-book series. Nice. It's essentially an epic it's a poetry manuscript. And I'm very into everything magic related and mythology. With my culture obsession comes a lot of mythology obsession as well.
Yeah.
And I think there's I love mythology. There's something for everybody, you know. There's cultures people don't think about being rich with mythology that really are. And I just love to incorporate it. And so it's kind of manuscript through magic, I guess.
Nice manuscript.
At least that's the goal.
Yeah. No, we're looking forward to.
We'll let readers decide if it's magic, but that's the goal.
Poetry is magic in its own way. Like you definitely gotta understand it. So, and everybody will understand it differently, which makes it pretty magical to me.
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, back in the day, like in high school and like early in my enlistment, I used to do a lot of freestyling and stuff, and it's been ages, and don't ask me because I'm not gonna do it.
I was gonna gas you like,
it was coming. It was coming.
You know what it is? Like, I don't drink anymore, so all that liquid courage I used to get.
It was liquor induced.
Yeah. Maybe once I get more comfortable with doing media stuff all the time, I'll start doing it again.
Just start freestyling with it. I
might have done a little bit while doing my hair earlier, but that was just in the bathroom, you know.
just started doing words. I was like, all right, battery. Like,
But it was just like, I always took that love. Like, I was always a big deaf poetry person. Oh my gosh, I used to spend hours. I actually still have them all on DVDs, and then they were all stolen, and I rebought them on some like bidding website. Somebody was selling the whole package, and I was like, yes, replacements. I was just total nerd. Thank you, Russell Simmons.
You get to shout out Russell Simmons on that Def Jam. Hey, we really appreciate you, Melody. Thanks for plugging your book, thanks for helping us so much with this book. I mean, we can't even thank you enough. I mean, it's been beyond words. The feeling that we have to actually be able to have this accomplished is amazing, because this is something that we talked about for a year and a half.
And I'm so proud of you guys. I know how stressed you've been during some of these chapters.
Yeah, with life still going on, and it's been a crazy year, ups and downs.
Right?
Yeah. So we really appreciate all that you've done. And if anybody, are you still taking like or like if people need to get in touch with you, how's that happen?
Yeah, so anybody who is looking for like coaching or writing services, we are taking, if you want to send in on our website, it's unfeatheredink.com. There's a contact page, and you can tell us a little bit about your project. If you are looking for, you know, we're a hybrid publisher, so if you're looking for, you don't need all the services, you just need publishing services. We are going to be opening submissions late November.
Ooh.
Awesome.
So we'll be taking submissions, and
the
goal is to put out 6 titles next year. So
late November, is it?
Probably late November. It'll depend on the rest of our timeline, but
gotcha. So open season is mid-November for Unfeathered Ink. I wrote it down. Got it.
Yep.
Got it.
So 6 titles next year. So get those submissions in when it opens up. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, right. I like it. Booked and busy. Yes. Yes, push the press. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Melody, for coming on the show, man. We really appreciate you.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for letting them know how to reach you. And Tonnisha B, how can they reach us?
Oh, they can reach us on